So these guys, these are the Colossus. These guys are kind of like the Anubisath Guardians before Twin Emps in AQ. Are you guys familiar?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So what I mean by that is they have different abilities, and you kind of need to react to their different abilities. So there's two different types from what I've seen. The first type is an earthquake that just basically stomps all the melee and melee range, and it does like, I want to say like 8k damage. So you just need to be ready to like heal the melee. And then the other type is it does a spit. It'll target a random player, kind of like the last. Oops, sorry. You good?
Yeah, I remember our approach with these was to wait until we figured out what ability it was before the melee went in.
Okay, yeah. So what we've been doing is we have melee go in at the start, but range here has to be max range. And the reason for that because if it is spit and it targets spit on a ranged player, there's no way to turn it. So I'll just play the video here. You can see. Can you guys hear this, by the way?
Negative.
No.
It's okay, you could narrate though.
Oh, you have it muted in the bottom left corner.
Yeah, I
Okay.
want it muted.
Perfect.
I don't, yeah, it'll be too much clutter. So. Alright, so this one, when it dies, it laid down like an acid thing on the ground, so you just need to be ready to like move out of that. As you can see, like a bunch of people died. But I'll just keep moving here because I don't want to like sit here and talk the whole time.
I think they melee the tanks pretty hard too, don't they?
Yeah, for sure.
It's universally true for basically all of the trash in both of these instances.
Alright, so for this pack, you see how there's like 2 female mobs, the male mob, and then the 2 bats. The bats charge, and that's like the #1 mechanic for these guys. So what we do is the entire raid, range and melee, stack on the bats, and we kill them. And the two female mobs get tanked away, so that way the 2 tanks that are tanking the female mobs are the only ones that get charged, and it helps mitigate a lot of damage. So you can see here, the female mobs are kind of hanging off over here to the side, and no one gets charged. The raid is perfectly safe here. Skip ahead, same pack. I'll show the poll so you can just kind of see how we engage.
So it looks like these are AoE packs for Warlocks and Mages. And everyone else single target.
On the PTR, it's what we did.
Holding on.
We just literally seeded it all down.
Yeah. The only packs that you really have to kind of CC are later on in SSC. There's like these Mage Mobs, but we'll get there when we get there.
Yeah, one of the mobs spell reflects.
Is there a cleave?
Nope, there's no cleave. Or maybe there is, actually, I don't know.
I don't think there is on these guys, but the big Naga after Hydros definitely has one, I think.
Yes, yeah, that's the Honor Guard. I'll explain that mob when we get there. So it's just the same thing. And then now we're at Hydros. Most of you guys know Hydros. He's a pretty easy boss. He does the phase change when you pull him over the line. And I'm not gonna sit here and explain him too much.
Can I ask a quick question about Hydros?
Yeah.
So the way you engage is something somewhat particular in that there's mobs like padding across in front of them, and you gotta like engage at a certain time. Like right, there's that guy, he's going. But isn't there like something you have to do, you mindfully have to do about pulling these?
Nope, these mobs are like a huge joke. They only have like 5k HP. They just kind of die.
The thing you have to do is not pull aggro on the pull and pull him across the line and then bounce him back across the line, because you'll get 2 packs of ads and wipe.
Yes. Another thing that wipes people here is totems. For some reason, when you pull him across the line, he can target a totem sometimes and then run backwards. So basically phase change twice, which is pretty annoying. But
Each phase changes the aggro dump, right?
yes.
Or reset, I mean.
So here our tank gets 100%. We pull him over. He turns green. Then the 3 ads spawn. Our pally just picks him up and kites him around the frost traps.
Max a warlock once or twice.
It's a really straightforward boss. I'm sure you guys remember him back in the day. He's really easy.
Yeah, one big thing here is when we're swapping sides, if you're a healer and you're standing on the side that he was just on and you toss a huge heal on the tank and you're not switching over, you're going to pull him back to your side. That healing threat with the wipe is real, so be careful. Essentially what happens is you end up with 12 mobs because he'll kill the healer right away and then run back over, so you've got 2 of the poison and 1 of the frost, or vice versa.
Alright, moving on. These are the Honor Guard packs. So these are the mobs that cleave that we were talking about earlier. So there's basically 3 types of mobs in this pack. Or sorry, 4 types. So there's the 2 Fathom Priests. They don't really do anything, but they get killed first. So they're the Skull and X. There's the Honor Guard, which is the big Naga in the back. That's the most dangerous mob here. He does a Mortal Cleave. It'll basically one-shot anyone who's a tank. So if you're melee and you're standing in the wrong spot, you can just get gibbed. So you need to be faced away. Usually what we do is we have the Druid tank pick up the Honor Guard. So I guess, Ness, that's you. And there's the 2 Shatterers, which are the 2 mobs, Skull and X, marked here. They're not the kill targets, but our raid is like really like stupid when it comes to marking. Like no one takes responsibility for marking, so our marks are always like super scuffed. Anyways, yeah, our guild is like not perfect by any means. Anyways, the 2 Shatterers get picked up by the warrior because what they do is they cast a debuff on the tank called Shatter Armor, which is basically 50% reduced armor. So if you're a warrior tank, you can just spell reflect it, and even if you get 1 stack, it's like not a big deal. Like they don't hit that hard as long as they're not like tanked and you get cleaved. If you're tanking these mobs and you get cleaved, that's when you run into issues.
Or if you're tanking those guys, catch it, and then you're tanking the big one.
Right. So we tank them separately, right? So the druid tanks the big guy, and then the warrior tanks the 2 Shatterers. And then our paladin just picks everything else up, and it's really important for the pull to go right on these because the paladin's tanking like 6 mobs. So it's just like you just need to chill for a sec.
Do they fear? Is that a mechanic?
Yes, the priest or I believe it's the honor guard. So that guy in the back, he does fear. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So you have to be careful about that.
Yes.
But if I pull him away and can get a fear ward, hopefully everyone else outranges it, maybe?
Yep, it's just like a melee range fear. It's kind of like the champions and slay pens.
You'll just need to make sure we get fear wards on the tanks.
Tremor too.
Berserker, whatever.
Easy.
So you can see the pull here. Our paladin will go in first and just pick up as much as he can. The warrior is tanking 2 mobs here, so what he does is he gets emptied 1 and then he tanks the other, and then you see the druid just pulling the honor guard. Oh, actually, we don't have a warrior tank for this run. I forgot. Yeah.
Oh shit.
Warriors or druids now.
Yeah, our main tank warrior switched to druid tank.
Oh.
And there's like 5 or 6 of these packs.
So what did the folks die from? Is it the cleaves getting in too close?
That's a good question. Oh, for this pack, it's because we don't have a warrior tanking the Shatterers. So what happened was our bear tank got 2 stacks of the Shatter Armor debuff, so he had 0 armor. So he just got like absolutely destroyed. And then because the tank died, a bunch of like mages and shit died. So.
Cool.
So same packs.
Yeah, the main thing I remember about SSC was the trash was typically harder and more frustrating and time-consuming than the bosses.
Yes.
Definitely so.
And you see here, Hunter is pulling this Colossus over here to the left. I don't know if you guys caught that, but
Do you have to pull all this trash? Are there groups you can skip? Do you know?
there are groups you can skip. But as Warcraft logs, like as the trash requirements stand right now for Warcraft logs, you need to kill every single trash pack, basically, to qualify for like a quote unquote like speed run. I mean, there's a lot of good shit on the trash anyway, so you kind of want to just kill as much as you can.
Yeah, until you get all the belt patterns and nether vortexes and weapons.
Yeah, exactly. So we pull the Colossus here because it doesn't chain, and it's just easier. And as you can see here, like the range are all max range because if he does the spit and it targets a range, that can be deadly. So yeah, he's doing the spit here. You can see it's targeting someone on melee range, so it's just easily healable.
So obvious. Out of sitting around like that.
It's the last boss of Slave Pen.
No
then,
casters have ever done that.
Holy shit. Holy shit.
Yeah, he did a little poopy on the floor.
That ground poison was legit.
Same packs. Honor Guard, Shatterers, Priestess.
So how's that healer dying?
All-Seeing Eye, he's a hunter.
No, I saw Angel.
Oh, so the Priestess in these packs, those are the angels. When they die, they do a Holy Nova, and then they become a like redemption of. I forget.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Spirit of Redemption.
Yeah, Spirit of Redemption. Thank you. Yeah, we don't actually have a priest spec'd into that in this raid. So, Lurker, very easy boss. Does anyone want to say anything about Lurker?
Get your
What do you do with
fishing
the
up.
ads?
How long did it take you to fish it up?
Did you see any of the ads, or did you CC any of the ads, or do you just kill them all?
We kill them all. I mean, we'll CC like one of them because 2 of them spawn on a platform, and then we'll kill the other. But they're super easy, and there's nothing else to do in that phase. So
Did you have multiple people fishing, or was it just one?
we just had one guy fishing because this is PTR and no one leveled fishing yet. Well, people leveled fishing on their mains on live, but they didn't copy those characters over to the PTR, so no one had fishing except for this guy.
Do you need
Okay.
max? You need max level fishing, right?
300.
Oh, that's it.
And you can get there with items.
Yep.
Yeah, the issue originally is bluntly people sucked at DPS, and so the DPS ads was more of a challenge the first time around.
So he does a little like whirlwind thing. So you can see I'm staying on the very edge of the platform, so I'm not going to get hit by it. You can see like the melee here because they're close. They're going to get like knocked back a little bit. Not a huge deal, but if you're like a caster or hunter, it's just better for uptime to just outrange it. And then he does the spout, which is the Cthulhu Dark Glare. He just does a 360, and you need to jump down in the water, or else you get insta-gibbed. So I just jump down.
Okay, so the melee here doing the runaround, that does work.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sick.
Would you can't jump over it. You'll run
No.
through it.
You gotta
Yeah,
stay ahead of it. Yeah.
Yep.
Can you
There's
jump
no
in the
reason
middle?
for casters to, yes, you can jump in the middle. There's no reason for casters to run around because they want to.
Also, when you're in
hop
the
in, hop
water, you
out.
don't want to hop. You jump in the water and you don't jump again.
And the people on the platforms in the back still have to dive in, right?
Yep.
Alright, so this is the add phase. There's two. Okay, so you see how we pulled everything here to this platform on the left? So there's 3 mobs. These farm mobs get MD'd, and then we stack everything over here. All our melee. This is like how we do it. This is not how. But yeah, everything just gets AoE'd and cleaved.
What about those 2 on the far end?
2 on the
So
far
then
end
you-
are being feared or CC'd, it looks like.
Yeah, and these 2 get sheeped. So, but you can have like a hunter platform if that's what you want to do. There's there's different ways to do it, right? Whatever you want to do. Like I think the typical way is to have like a warlock platform, a hunter platform, and then the sheep platform. So
Does he come up as soon as the last ad is dead?
yes, he does. So the quicker you can kill the ads, the quicker you can get him back up. I'm pretty sure you can also just hold on to the ads, and he'll eventually come back up, and then the ads will despawn, if that's a strategy you want to do. But there's, like I said, there's nothing else to do in that phase, so it's kind of just boring to just sit there for like a minute and not do anything. But it's probably safer to just hold the CC. Alright, easy boss. That's everything. Skip ahead.
Does he even have a second ad phase?
Yes, he has as many ad phases as needed for you to kill him.
So it's a time-based ad phase, or is it a damage-based? Okay.
Time.
Yeah, it's not like Nightbane.
If you're really slow, you
So
can
what
get
was it,
4.
2 ad?
I think it's 6 ads.
It's the 3. It's the 3 islands.
It's 2 per island on 3 islands.
It was 2 per island for the 3 islands, but then there was also 3 male mobs in the center platform.
Yep. Yeah, so you end up having 5 stacked up on one island there for their strategy. Then you have 2 on the other 2 islands. You're CCing one of each, and then killing the other one on those islands generally, and then leaving it CC'd until a tank can come over or something.
There's 2 ads on the mage platform. I was watching. They sheeped one, and then the shadow priest and 2 mages just they soloed one of them and then killed the other one.
Yep.
Because I guess they're casters.
Yep. What do I remember doing?
Yeah, that mage platform is just so far away from the melee one, they can't be contributing to the AoE on the 5-pack.
Well, NV is enough for whatever random damage there is.
Yep.
So you just have the Shadow Priest and the 2 mages in that group.
It's beautiful.
Cog, are you stoned? Cog, go push the talk.
Oh, love it.
All right, next set.
Next. Alright, trash packs. So the only really like notable thing in these, well, there's 2 things for these trash packs. First thing is that skull mob in the back. It's called a Greyheart Tidecaller. The only like dangerous thing he does is he summons a water elemental totem. You just need to kill the totem before the water elemental spawns. If the water elemental does spawn, it's not a huge deal. You just need to kill the water elemental, but that's like one deadly ability. The other notable thing in this trash pack are these mage mobs here. It's the star in the circle. They can be one of 3 elements, right? Frost, fire, arcane. If it's frost, it's whatever. If it's fire, it's whatever. Those 2 schools don't really do anything deadly. If it's arcane, it's like a huge deal, and they need to be like dealt with immediately. So what we do is we just have 2 mages sheep both of those, and then we kill them last. But if for some reason they become loose, and if the mob is arcane, you need to swap to it and kill it, because when it's arcane, it'll just like AoE down the entire raid, and it'll just like kill everyone basically.
Are they interruptible?
No, they're a huge pain in the ass. They do a blank, which is a threat drop, and also the AoE they do is just like instant cast. So you just
It's probably Arcane Explosion, which yeah, you can't interrupt.
so here one of them gets broken. It blinks into the raid. Oh no, it got resheeped. Okay. So there's the water elemental. We failed to kill the totem because we're bad. It kills a hunter, like one-shots him.
That's not too
Tragic.
bad then.
Yeah, hunters. Am I right?
It's just extra effective feign death.
I'm pretty sure the Serpent Guards cleave, maybe? Question mark? Not too sure. It looks like they do a spell reflect. I don't really know what all these mobs do. Okay, so now we're killing the 2 mages. Preferably you want to kill them one at a time. So one of them's Frost there, it casts a Frost Bolt. And then they're just gonna die. Yeah, like I said, if they're Frost or Fire, they're like not a huge deal whatsoever. Like you don't have to worry. But if it's Arcane, you just need to deal with them. Alright, so second pack, same thing. It's identical pack, 2 mages, and then the Tide Caller in the back.
Have you experienced them double stacking a class on the mages, or they generally one's one, one's the other? Meaning, like, can you get double arcane?
Oh yeah, you can get double arcane, and if that happens, and it's just like they can AoE your raid down really quickly. You just get farmed like slave
The
pens.
key point is as a result of this, no seeds, no blade flurry, etc. near the CC mobs.
Yep, multi-shot, chain lightning, all offenders.
Multi-shot is in my rotation, so...
So it's chain lightning.
Seed.
And when we've literally seen multi-shot go 90 degrees the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Pretend it's
they were
not in your
speeding.
rotation.
They're seeding in this pack though.
Yeah, I think they were far
pulled
enough
away,
away.
right?
Yeah.
Are they all? The rest of the mobs are all melee, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they'll just come to you if you sheep pull.
Alright, for these packs, there's 2 male mobs. Those are the Serpent Guards. I'm pretty sure they just like cleave and they fear. And then the 2 female mobs, what they do is they do like a Shadow Nova that's like a knockback. You can outrange it like 30 yards. So you can see here, like I'm standing kind of far away. I'm not going to get knocked back, but all these casters up closer are going to get knocked back. So it's just like a small thing. See that? So you just avoid some damage, and you avoid, you just have more uptime, so it's better. Skipping ahead. These packs, I don't really know what's going on with these packs. This is a triple, it looks like 2 Tide Callers and a Mage. CC is your friend here, I guess. Alright, so the Mage here is Fire. He's gonna do Rain of Fire. And the Rain of Fire is not super deadly. You don't need to freak out and like move out of it. It's very healable, so you can honestly just like kind of stand in it. Like I said, whenever it's Frost or Fire, it's just not a huge deal. These packs up ahead. Oh, are you reading chat?
Oh,
Yeah.
goodness.
That's gonna be Crowder on
Yeah.
the
I'm just going to quote that.
Minus R word. He's not a fan of that word.
Yeah, I don't run the R word in my vocabulary.
Yeah, ignore the chat, by the way. I do not condone anything that's in the chat, so just disclaimer. It's not what I stand for. I just play the game and press healing spells. That's all I do.
Is he like
Wait,
serious?
hardcore guilds with toxic individuals in them? That's new and novel.
What were you gonna say,
Yeah,
James?
right.
No, I was wondering if he was being serious or is he joking around.
Oh, this guy who said stop thinking for yourself and just listen to me. That's like an old meme from one of our old guild masters. He like said that one time and freaked out, and now it's like a meme. So
That's a great meme.
he wasn't serious. This is like a very relaxed, very chill raid right now. Like, these are like all the same mobs that I explained before. The only one that's different here is this like, what's it called? It's like the underdog
Like a lurker?
mob. You see that? The lurker, yeah. He spawns mushrooms. And yeah. Oh, I guess mushrooms are bad, so don't stand in mushrooms. Okay, did you see that right there? That was the Arcane Missiles. One of the Mage Mobs is Arcane in this pack. And you can see just how much raw raid damage it did. Like, just, yeah, right there.
Oh wow. Yeah, so it's not an arcane explosion. It's just straight. It's like Shadow Bolt, but no
Arcane missile
cast.
volley.
Yeah.
It's like magic missiles, any D&D players.
Yep.
Oh wow, that's insane.
Yeah, so if that thing's running loose, it's just, you know, it can cause a few deaths. It's not, or it can wipe you, right? So.
Sounds like it's circle healing time, Cog.
See it.
You can banish this lurker thing if you want to use more CC, but in general, we're just trying to like zug through this. So we're just like pushing it to the limits. We're trying to use like the least amount of CC as possible, but you can definitely use way more CC. I'm a huge fan of using CC because it just makes everything way cleaner. Like there's no point in like pushing yourself to the limit just for pointless deaths. Like here we have 100 die. Like Warlocks have aggro, mages have aggro, like they're getting super low. It's just kind of a mess. Like, so CC is definitely good.
Your tanks are having a heart attack because they're not sure who it's running after.
Yep, and there's mushrooms all over the place.
Are the mushrooms targetable to kill? Looks like they have health.
I believe so, and I guess you should swap to them and kill them before they grow large, but I'm not really too sure, honestly.
Okay.
Looks like they have a shit pile that they leave too.
Yeah, if you don't kill the mushrooms, you're gonna wipe.
Is that what happens?
Yeah, I think they
Yeah,
grow
they
big and they
slap.
start pulsing AoE.
Okay.
Yeah, they do a shit ton of damage.
There we go. See, I cast healing spells, so I don't know what mushrooms do. Same
Yeah,
pack.
it was one of those things that you stomp like totems, etc. Like they popped up, and the expectation was all DPS. Pivoted.
Too bad they killed our macros.
Yeah, it just means you actually have to target it manually.
This pack, there's a couple shield bearers. Apparently those mobs are like really annoying. I'm not sure exactly what they do. Does anyone know what they do?
If they've got shield, I'm sure they interrupt, among other things.
I think they also charge and drop aggro, actually. Just kind of annoying, so. As you can see here, we're just kind of like creeping up into like the very edge. The boss is to the back and to our left, so we're just moving up to kill this patrol, and then we're gonna go back to the boss.
They cast the Avenger's shield and charge.
So I assume if you stack, you're fine.
So it's like
Saw them charge right there.
the Talon, whatever, in Sethic, but bigger.
It's like the guys in Gruul's lair.
Yeah, the brutes. A paladin version of the brutes.
Then we have the boss, Leotharis, I believe.
Yep.
Just when he spins, you need to move away. He does a ability on the raid called Inner Demon, where like only you can see your demons. So if you're able to see demons, you have to like stop everything and kill your demons, or else it's like a wipe or something. I don't know. And then at the end, I think he does like.
It's not a wipe, but basically, like, again, people sucked at DPS. healers in particular, if a healer got it, you basically just assume that they died.
Yeah.
They get mind controlled, and then you have to kill the mind control.
Yep.
If they fail to kill their demon in time.
So this is the friendly reminder for healers to put some DPS spells on their bars more than once. We had people trying to do it from spell books or whatever, which doesn't work well.
Seen a warlock doing an entire
Tell that to
raid.
Winky.
Maitland's just going to be doing /cast smite. He's going to type it out for each one.
Hell yeah, copy paste. Let's go.
Was that warlock
but he's-
on seed the whole raid, just clicking the one spell in the spell book?
He did shadow bolts and curses from his spellbook, doing like paging and MC.
And he pumped.
I mean, a warlock in phase 1 MC.
Right, so he's spinning, run away from that.
Yep. We have our like Fury Warrior. He's wearing like full plate stamina gear, so he can just like chase the mob and just get healed through it. But other than that, like you just kind of move away.
What's his type? Is he a demon the whole time, as far as like his creature type, or is he only a demon type during demon form?
So it says he's a humanoid here.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure he should be demon form.
That's why it's looking at this in pure jealousy right now.
Demon phase. Alright, yeah, so he is a demon here.
Gotcha. Alright, so right now he's shooting at, looks like a warlock. So they're using a warlock tank. Alright.
You just need to not stand near the warlock, because he does like a AoE thing.
Splash damage on where it hits.
The first time we actually did this, we went in completely blind. No one really did any like research. Our raid leader never did SSC or TK before, so he didn't know like any of the bosses, and he accidentally tanked the mob during this phase, which is kind of funny. Just a warrior tanking. Yeah.
Well, they could do it, but they have to have fire resist for it.
No, he just went in. He tanked it like a boss.
Yeah, so you can tank it as long as you just tell your melee to stay out during that phase, but I don't know how much damage it does in the splash if, you know, we've got a couple enhancement and a rogue standing in there. It might not be
Stacking
terrible.
debuff is the problem.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Just avoid the.
Or on the
you're fine.
tank, isn't it?
On the tank that's tanking it, it's a stacking debuff, so that's why you're high enough FR to resist some of it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we definitely at times would even use 2 warlock tanks, because obviously warlocks don't have a threat feedback loop, so they basically just like one would get out front and then the other one would trinket and overtake them.
I mean, you just right click off salve if you're thinking it, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, no, I mean to like swap.
From what I gathered, I can just, whoever, if it's me or Mark, but we can put a Curse of Doom like right at the beginning of the fight, and when he switches to demon form, it'll go off, and you get like a spat and aggro.
Nice.
Yeah, 2 seconds in.
Nice.
Thanks, Crix.
There's
Pop up
phase
Crix.
2, both of them pop up right at the same
Yep.
time.
That's this here. So I don't know what percentage that is. It looked like 15%. So
Yep. So you would have the warlock getting threat again on the demon, and then the tank just maintains the humanoid.
And you just kill the humanoid, I think. I don't think you have to kill the demon.
Yeah, the warlock tank on the demon can just get initial threat and stay ahead, and then just start pumping the boss with everybody else.
Nice. Okay.
You just need to make sure it doesn't go on healers.
Yep.
Which isn't too difficult.
The spin is just a random person in the raid.
Yeah, you want to spread out so that you don't get your whole raid cleaved down by the spin.
yeah, it's like Sartura.
Yeah, they'll target you and chase you with it, and you have to run away.
So run
This is a
towards
ranged
it.
fight. Like melee really shouldn't be in during that phase at all.
Looks like they're dropping double tokens.
Yes.
Yeah, we're getting double tokens come the 15th.
including Mag and Gruul.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, you're getting double tokens in Carrot anyway by running 2 or 3 raids.
And it's 10 people instead of 25.
So this next room, we're kind of in the hallway behind the next boss, and there's a bunch of patrolling colossuses. So what we do is we just kind of pull each of them back, and we just kind of feed the blender, and just keep pulling. So I'll skip ahead. It's just the same mob over and over again, and it's the same mob as before. It just does the 2 different things. It's either a stomp or a quake, or a spray or a quake, and then when it dies, you can either spawn ads, it can spawn the poison thing before. See here, it spawns the 2 big ads. Or it can spawn like the nice blue mushrooms and you can stand in it and it gives you mana back. It's kind of cool. It's, Alright, so Carrichus. So there's the boss, which is big and scary. There's the priest girl on the left there. She gets tanked off in the corner. She does like a frost ability. It's like a frost bolt. And basically what we do is we just have the pally tanking in the corner with the shaman, and the shaman just interrupts the heal, the resto shaman. There's a, oh, hold on, let me go back here. There's the shaman mob. He does the Spitfire Totem. I'm sure you're all very familiar with the Spitfire Totem. Any funny stories about the Spitfire Totem? You just need to kill the totem. It does a lot of damage. And then I forget what this guy does in the middle, honestly.
What's his name?
I can't even see, honestly. I'm assigned to corner bitch duty in this fight, so you get to see the cool.
One guy does like tornadoes in the air.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I don't know if it's that.
The tornadoes, okay, so he tombs the tank here. It's pretty healable. But, the tornado, it doesn't do like a lot of damage at all. It's just annoying because it knocks you up in the air. Oh, we actually wipe here, so we're running out.
Does it reset?
I don't know, actually.
I know
Yes,
you can reset
it does
Sidewalker.
Yeah, it reset.
Yeah, I don't have the best point of view for this fight because you can't really see what's going on. I guess one notable thing for this fight is it has to do with the ads. If you bring the boss below 75% when the ads are still alive, he enrages and he does like a ton of damage. I don't know if the enrage scales off how many ads there are. So like what we do is we kill the shaman ad and then the male naga ad, and we leave the priest ad alive in the corner right here. And I think he still enrages, but I don't know if he does like less of an enrage. But we just...
Yeah, so each of these mini bosses, when they die, they actually give a new ability to the main guy, so Carrichus. So if you were to leave the priest up, he wouldn't gain Tidal Surge.
Okay.
It looks like one of them, Sharkris, summons an elemental pet that explodes when it dies. So you have to make sure you kill that outside of ranged and healers, I would assume.
Or a spore bat, it says.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the suggestion I'm seeing is put a warrior on the healer for the interrupt. That way the warrior can just interrupt the healer.
Yep, makes sense.
I would put the paladin on the one that summons ads because paladin ads.
Yeah, it looks like you want to. The warrior can interrupt the healing wave, but you'll want a shaman or mage for interrupting the tidal surge.
Yeah, that would work better because as a resto shaman, like I can get easily resisted with
Yeah.
the interrupts, so that's probably best. Also, we have you can see Loey here. He's the affliction lock. No, sorry, he's not. He's just a normal Destro lock, but he's keeping tongues up on this guy.
Yeah, I was gonna say that too. You need tongues on that one. Yeah, it looks like people are suggesting slash target Spitfire Totem and just have that ready to go.
I did Resto Shaman back in the day too on this, and I had the same exact job as you. I would interrupt whatever that guy did and heal that thing.
So quick question: with them saying that they're nixing the totem stomp, does that mean the slash tar macros don't work, or it doesn't make sense?
I think that's
why
an
they
arena
wouldn't?
specific thing.
Oh, you know what, dude? You're probably totally right.
The Warlock pet.
Yeah, we literally have a macro that just has all the totem names in there. And,
Yeah.
like, target this and kill it.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. So in arenas, you're probably gonna have to click totem. But if it don't matter,
Probably just
raid,
make
hell
totems
yeah.
untargetable with macros in arenas. If that's a rule set.
Yeah, they could make it so the totem names all have the player name, and it would be a big pain in the ass. Like, you'd have to update your macro every time.
Carrichus also casts Cataclysmic Bolt to any random mana user, and it's 50% of their max HP. So healers just be aware to keep people above 75% to make sure they don't get one shot by that.
I'm glad you did your homework for this boss, Carter, because I didn't.
Good raid lead is good.
Is this a 4-tank fight or or is someone holding 2 of them?
Tidal Vest and Carrichus can be tanked together.
Yeah, we only have 3 tanks, so yeah.
So there's the main Carrichus has a tank. Tidal Vest and Carrichus are together, and then that healer is off to the side. So those are the 3.
So yeah, it probably makes sense. Warrior on Charybdis, Paladin on the double. And
Yeah, I assume the Pumpin' Guilds are just gonna kill Carrichus without killing any of the 3 ads. So I'm sure that'll be a strategy, just like High King. I think leaving the healer up is probably the only one that matters. As far as what our strategy will be, at least initially, it'll be to kill the other 2, and then just deal with it there. I'm trying to think of which one would probably be kill order. So Tidal Vest first. That's the one that does the Spitfire Totem, I believe.
Totem,
yeah. Then
Carrichus.
Carrichus, yep.
Quick side note, people are saying in the leaders chat not to yet that Gruul already caught the nerf.
Health-wise?
He's not pushing people as far away, and his shatter does like a lot less damage.
I believe it.
His health should have been nerfed.
Is that
too.
the version we fought yesterday?
No, I think it would have taken effect on Wednesday.
By Wednesday.
Isn't that when they...
Yeah,
maybe I'm wrong.
Everything
Well,
else went live yesterday for the patch.
Yeah, no,
I don't think it did less damage. I mean, Darkheart took a shit ton of damage at some
He had
point.
4.56 million health.
Which is the pre-nerf health.
All right, maybe these people are dumb.
Did like
Never mind.
50% damage.
Continue.
Gruul deep breaths more now.
Was there anything else for this boss that you wanted to mention, Carter?
No, just the making sure that we've got mind-numbing poison on whatever that fucking healer's name is. Charybdis?
Tongues or
Charybdis.
Mind?
Tongues or mind numbing, but likely it's going to be easier for a warlock to keep it up from
Yeah.
ranged and then
I'll just
switch back to
bring the
DPS.
poison. Just in case it never doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
How much health does a Spitfire Totem have?
I don't know.
I mean, is it one of those things where everyone
They're
has to switch to
squishy enough that when I was watching Dolan tank the other night, he was tanking the big bad boy, and the totems they killed that guy first, so the totems were literally popping up right next to Dolan, and Dolan was just switching to it and auto attacking him and killing him.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, we can test it out, but generally the strategy is if we call that it's up, everyone targets it and uses an instant. So Arcane Shot, Fire Blast, whatever it is, and just don't worry about trying to cast or you'll waste a cast time. But it should go down just with people's instants. Cool. We can move on.
Okay.
Murlocs with a sided giant. The fight where you realize, oh, we should have been gearing up a prop paladin.
Yep. So this is the same as before. There's just the male mobs that cleave, and then the female mobs that do the Shadow Nova. Same thing. It's just another patrol. Alright, so these guys, we tried pulling multiple packs, and they do like a AoE heal, and if you pull like 2+ packs, it doesn't work. So we learned that the hard way. They just heal more than you can do damage to them, so you just have to pull them one at a time.
What the fuck macro was that?
Oh, my interrupt macro?
Jesus Christ, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, I shared that to everyone, one Magtheridon, and everyone in the guild was like basically doing that macro or that weak aura for Magtheridon 1 week, and my raid leader got super pissed at me. He was like, "That weak aura is freaking banned. Like no one can use that weak aura." Oh. It was pretty good. Those Murlocs, these Murlocs here, they're immune to slow. You can see I have an Earthbind down, and it's kind of annoying because they do a threat drop, so they're just kind of bouncing all over the place, killing the Warlocks and Mages.
Bro, they got Kroll Blades.
So how are we, is that a prop paladin thing right there? Where if we have a prop paladin, they won't be bouncing around, or they just threat drop?
They still threat drop, yeah, so you just have to kind of watch what you're doing there.
Yeah. And if you die, you die. So this is the boss. He does a lot of melee damage. This is like one of the hardest hitting bosses. The hardest hitting boss, I should say, in this dungeon. So, yeah, the tank is going to get clapped. Then he does the Watery Grave, where he sends 3 people to the center. We have 2 healers just flex over and just top them off. What happens is you take damage when you're in the Watery Grave, but then after the Watery Grave is over, you get shot up in the air, and then you take fall damage, so you can die if you don't get any heals or if you're not topped off. So it's good to save your health stone for the Watery Grave, so that way you can just heal yourself. This is the Murlocs. They're coming out now. So our hunters lay frost traps. Our prop paladin has like 1,000 spell power here, and he's actually gonna die here. Yep. We didn't have healers assigned to him, so he just died. We're gonna wipe now. So.
Zyrene, no.
Yeah, Zyrene. If you guys know Zyrene, he's a good guy. He's pretty well known.
Was he geeking out?
Nah, he's a really level-headed guy, super chill. So yeah,
This
we
fight
might.
sucks so bad for parsing. By the way, it's gonna be 100%
Yeah.
RNG.
Because of the Watery Grave.
Yeah, like I got Watery Graved 4 times in a row on the PTR. And then Silver was like, "Oh, nice DPS, Winky," and I was like, "Fuck you." Yeah, it's like shit.
Did she request to have you kicked after that?
I was gonna say. Yeah, so they're using a misdirect to pull up to the top of the ramp.
Is Pasties in here? Pasties is not.
No.
One thing I just want to mention is when the Warlocks come out, you see how the raid takes a lot of damage. Here, I'll skip to it. Right here, what's happening is there's a call for the healers not to heal the raid because then the healers will get healing aggro. And what the Paladin is doing is he's just like holy lighting the Warlocks so he can get the initial threat.
Nice.
So that's just what we do.
So when those Murlocs are spawning, just before that, there's a spell that goes off called Earthquake, which deals 3,000 to 4,000 damage. So that's why you need to have those Watery Graves healed up as well. And then that's what's going to summon those Warlocks. So that's a lot of damage that comes in really quick that the healers need to not be building Healing Thread on.
Yes.
Seems like it'd be a good time for MD multi-shot to Pasties as well.
Yep, MD Immolation Trap is also very good for the AoE.
Yep.
One thing I do want to mention is apparently these Murlocs that come out are mind controllable, and you can cast debuff armor debuff on the boss, which is kind of cool. I didn't know about that.
Is it necessary? Do you know?
It's not necessary, but it's just like
No,
a huge DPS bonus for basically nothing. So
Yeah, it'd be like Super Sunder, but stacking with Sunder.
Yeah.
But I mean, how much armor does he have left? Assuming we use improved exposed
lot.
armor and everything else.
Enough. And the thing is that, you know, if you take it halfway down, you theoretically double DPS.
Yeah.
Not quite, but something like that.
as far as I'm aware, bosses in TBC have like tons and tons and tons of armor, way more than classic, and like you can never really get to like the low levels that we could in classic.
Sidebar, there's two types of mobs in TBC bosses. There's basically casters and regular. They have different armor amounts, and it's not until you get to like lots of armor and gear in Sunwell that you can zero out caster mobs by Sunwell, but you can't ever zero out like something like a giant.
Yes. So really quickly on this boss right now, you'll see that they move to the doorway. When he gets to 25% health, he doesn't do Watery Grave anymore. He switches to a spell called Water Globules. If you go into this doorway, it just makes those not be a thing because you're out of reach of them.
They can't get that far.
Yep, you
That's
just skip a mechanic for the last phase.
You can also do it in the corner, can't you?
I only know about the doorway, but yeah, probably.
Yeah, I think the corner to the right.
I assume that there's a cutoff point where if you pull him too far, he resets.
Yes.
Yeah, you just want to be right inside the doorway. Or in the corner, yeah. That back corner in the top left screen right there.
So you see the globs here? Yeah.
Yeah.
They're creeping.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. So, like Winky said, it's super RNG, but very easy. The other thing, too, we've got extra warrior tanks, right? We've got Tank and Dorian. They could theoretically take turns going down to the water side while Pasties is standing at the north side, getting those ones with a Consecrate. They can just do a Thunderclap, hit all of those and bring them, and then the Consecrate will take over threat once he gets there.
Some nice paladin also just threw a bop on our Shadow Priest just to...
Male Draenei, hell yeah.
Just one thing to mention here too is you see how we're taking the boss like kind of towards the center? The reason why we do that is just so it makes it easier for the flex healers who just like move over.
Mm-hmm.
You can definitely tank it like more towards the doorway. It's just what we do. But
yeah, I think the very top of the ramp right there is perfect.
all right, anything else for this boss?
I got nada.
Our raid leader hurfed out to buy invis pots to see if we can try and invis skip, but so we're just AFK.
Fucking sweat lords.
Yeah. All right, so we run past this pack here. It's like apparently you need to kill it for the Warcraft logs requirements, but like I think it's kind of stupid because you could just easily run past it. But we're going to Vash now, so. So for Vash, she has 3 phases. Phase 1 is really easy. It's just tank and spank. Phase 2 is when she goes to the center and you have to kill the ads. So there's the water elementals that go up the stairs. They don't have that much HP. I think they have like 10k HP. Very easy to kill. We're spamming this one guy. The other ads are the Naga that come out. They do a cleave, so we just tank them in the very center. Just face them away. And there's the Striders, which get picked up by our Ellie Shaman and just get tanked. So our Ellie Shaman just clicks off salve. So, are you familiar with that, Jewel?
So you tank the Strider as opposed to kiting it?
No, it's tanked, quote unquote, just meaning that you have threat on a elemental shaman. The reason you use the Ellie Shaman is because Frost Shock has a higher threat multiplier, so they can just Frost Shock and then it's slowed and has high threat.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I haven't done that before, but it doesn't sound terribly complicated.
Yeah, you just walk in a circle and keep Frost Shock.
I've done plenty of Frost Shock kiting in heroics when shit hits the fan.
Yep.
Just do the big circle around the edge of the thing.
Alright, I'll go to this is our kill attempt here, so. Alright, so the pull, we're just moving up here to these pillar things. It's LOS, it's kind of like 4 Horsemen, you can just LOS the boss and move closer.
Sorry, I just had flashbacks. You guys can just run up to the platform and just line of sight the 4 Horsemen.
Run along the fucking wall.
The wall boss.
Okay, so one thing here is in this phase, there's like nothing going on. It's super easy. The one thing you do have to look out for is the static charge. She'll target someone, that's static charge them, and what it does is it just does like a pulsing AoE to everyone around that person, and so that person just needs to move away from others, usually towards the outside.
What's the range on that?
10 yards, I believe.
Okay.
It's pretty short.
Now, is Vash threshold based? Like, once you get her down to a certain percentage, she moves into stage 2?
Yep, it's 70% for phase 2.
Yep. So she's at 70% now. You see there's the 4 like things that are like keeping her locked in. Every time you kill one of those, she drops by 5%. So by the end of this phase, she'll be down to 50%.
The key part is how you kill them, which is you play catch.
Yes.
So green elementals come out of the water. When you loot the item, the tainted core, you can't move. So you have to throw it to someone who is in line of sight of you, who then can't move, who throws it to someone else, who throws it to someone else until someone is within clicking distance of one of those things.
Okay. Real quick, just on back to phase 1, one of the abilities that they do is Shock Blast. So we'll have a shaman in the tank group have Grounding Totem that you toss down just before it, and it'll eat it.
Oh yeah, that's a very good point. I forgot to mention that. Yeah, grounding totems for the tanks are like super crucial in this. Also, freedoms.
For Entangle.
Yes. Basically, she'll like entangle the tank, and then she'll move like 10 yards away. And if the tank is still immobilized, she'll like shoot her bow, which does like a ton of damage.
There's a kill order to these ads, right? Like,
it's just like a loose priority. So melee focus on the elite when it's up, and it just gets killed in the center. You can see it's there now. And then the secondary prio for melee is to kill the water elementals when they get too close, right? Because when the water elementals get all the way to Vash in the center, she gets a 10% damage bonus, and that basically like is a wipe in phase 2 because, or sorry, phase 3, because phase 3 is like super hectic and you need to kill the boss super quick.
Do you know if warriors can spell reflect any of these, or?
Sorry.
Kind of like Arcane Trash, where some can't be reflected and some can.
For which ability?
The poison shock one, and then also the one you kind of listed right after. Or just any in general.
I'm honestly not too familiar.
Yeah, I'm not sure on that either.
The kill priority for range is to kill the Strider when it's up, and then just to kill the elite when they can, and then it's actually different for hunters. The hunter's job in this fight is they're on the perimeter, and they're basically waiting for the tainted elemental to spawn, because when the tainted elemental spawns, you need to kill it very quickly, because if you don't, it despawns after like 15 seconds.
Yeah.
It doesn't path up, so it sits like right at the edge of the water.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, those are definitely the first kill priority. Also, just the enchanted elementals, when they do get to Lady, they also heal her for 10%. So you could go into phase 3 and she'll be at 100% health if you don't do it well.
With a 50%.
Yeah.
Buff.
I heard this is basically a DPS race, this fight.
Yeah, it is.
Like, you have to have enough DPS to kill the ads fast enough, and then phase 3 is to kill before you get killed.
So when there's when there's no tainted up and the water elementals aren't on the top platform, all range should be switching to that Strider as well.
The real issue was the original version of it. People assumed you could kind of control it and pace it, but there was an enrage timer, and the enrage is spore bats come in and drop shit on the floor in phase 3. But if you take too long in phase 1 and 2, you just get like a traffic jam of them that all come in at the same time at the beginning of phase 3.
Yep.
And so it just like shits all over the raid real fast, as opposed to like at the pace it was supposed to happen.
I might have missed this, but is she still doing her mind control?
Nope, that's phase 3. So we're still in phase 2 right now.
Okay.
So you see how she has one more beam channeling to her? Once that last beam gets broken, then phase 3 starts.
When I did this on the PTR, like the rotational AoE lightning that she does literally like didn't even scratch people.
Yeah.
Did you guys find the same, or were you trying to like actively avoid it?
Nah, we weren't trying to avoid it at all.
Yeah, if you look there, she just cast it and no one's health really moved.
Yeah, it's like it was kind of like a meme almost.
Yeah.
How fast were those Striders spawning? Seems like there's not very many of them up.
There's a timer on the DPS.
Yeah.
It says next Strider number 6.
That's one every 60 seconds.
Yep, so you have to kill him within that 60 seconds so that your ally can be free to grab the next one.
We also rotate stuns on the Strider. It's just nice if you're a paladin, just throw a Hajj up on it, and it makes it easier.
Yeah, you can use tailoring nets as well.
Yep, the only thing with nets is sometimes we had melee going on the Striders, and they would suicide.
Yep.
Because our melee are Zug Brain.
It used to be that if you had Thunder Fury and you drank the the winter fire, the one from Winter Spring, the
Mhm.
potion, see how big that you could actually tank them because your hitbox is such that you could actually, they can't hit you, but you can hit them.
Oh, nice.
But obviously, you didn't have
Was
any warriors with Thunder Fury there. Anyway, I'm
was
curious to
that
see if
a
that's
Tauren thing? Was that Tauren?
Tauren, but humans could get away with it as well.
Yeah,
if
with
they
the
use that
fire
potion.
water. Yeah.
Alright, so this is phase 3.
So there's the mind control.
Cannot be CC'd or sheeped or anything, right?
Yeah, you can't even interrupt them.
Yeah, so one more thing. Right before phase 2 ends, right? Like when you've got your thing, you're ready to click the last little pillar there. Don't click it right away just because you can. Make sure you get rid of, the ads on the platform, at least. You want to be in a good state of control there.
And you can see the puddle of poison on the ground. It does a ton of damage, so you need to move out immediately. If you stand in there for like even 1 second, you're just gonna die. So.
Yeah.
Are hunters targeting bats? What's the deal with hunters? What is the...
We're just nuking her. We're ignoring the bats completely.
I heard the bats have like a shit ton of health.
Yeah, they have 140k, so...
Yeah. There's some people that claim that you would set like either all the hunters and maybe a couple of DPS to kill the initial ones, and then switch to her for the rest, but we'll see how it goes. I think it's probably smart to kill the first wave of spore bats, and then when the next wave comes out, you ignore it.
You see this shaman here, he's about to get poison bolted, and he's not going to react. You see that? And then he's just dead. So.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the one thing you gotta watch out for here.
So the mind control stuff, you can't sheep them, you can't really do anything, but you can taunt. So we'll have our tanks ready to taunt and pick those up.
Yep. Also, if you get mind controlled, you're just gonna pop like your big cooldown right away. So if you're a shaman, you're just gonna pop hero. So you need to you should use it before this. But.
Yeah, for sure.
Is it easier if you kite Vash in this last phase, especially at the end of the phase when the bats are going crazy? It's like a slow kite, not like kiting her all over the place, but like backpedaling.
Like Grobulus.
Well, you want to move to open areas. You don't want to get boxed in is the key. Like where they are right now is slightly problematic, where if they moved her back further, so that you have plenty of room for everyone to spread out.
What I'm worried about is that it's a random target that the spore bats choose, and if you have a whole bunch of melee on the back of Lady Vash, it's going to be problematic for them, isn't it? Or are they pretty good about spreading them out on the range?
No,
that's what I'm worried about.
I see what you're saying. It's kind of tough. Like, this fight's super tough on melee for that reason. So like, you just as a melee, you just want to wear like full stamp gear and just hope for the best. Like, we don't kite it constantly. I understand why you would do that, because if it does target the melee, then it's like by the time the poison appears in the ground, you've already moved her like a little bit, so it's like a little advantage. But yeah, we don't do that. But...
Yeah, she doesn't. She doesn't cleave. So generally speaking, what I would say for melee is like have all of the melee stacked to her right side at 90 degrees, right? So you're still getting the benefit of hitting her in the back. As soon as a poison goes down, you can just all run to the left, right? The other 90 to get out of that poison. And then the tank can start moving it a little bit so you guys can readjust. That way you don't have to constant move.
Yeah, and the tank could go right around, just follow that circle right
there. Yep. Yeah, it's a controlled kite versus a constant worrying. But people have to pay attention, right? It's the same kind of attention that you need to pay when you were in KT and the void zones would go down or whatever they were called. You've just got to move out of them quickly.
But there's
Awesome.
no graphic before it lands, right?
No, it's just right when it lands, everyone needs to switch. So if it lands on melee, I imagine we need to have people be vocal and call it out. Melee move.
Yeah, and if you're ranged or a healer, don't finish your cast. Can't just start running.
The way I personally did this as ranged was if I got targeted by it, I would not run very far from that pool. I would stand on its outskirts. That way I'm keeping them clumped together instead of a bunch spread out.
And then it just depends on how much DPS you have. It makes sense that if your DPS is such that you don't have enough to burst her, that you have Hunter's Prio the bats.
Mm-hmm.
But if you could burst her, absolutely, just ignore them.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. If you start, if you think you don't have enough DPS, and then so you move the hunters over, and all of a sudden you definitely don't have enough DPS.
Yeah. So did you guys target the initial ones here, Carne, or were you guys just purely like full Zug as soon as phase 3 started?
We just ignored the bats completely.
Okay.
Are there more bats every single wave, or is it the same amount of bats every single wave?
I think up to 5 spawn, right? So
Yeah.
if you don't kill them, there's just 5 of them spam it.
And then they'll just pile up.
Yep.
Yeah, this is what I read is like the DPS race part, where you're trying to kill her before you get overrun with bats.
Yeah, we struggled quite a bit on her. Like, we wiped quite a few times just because phase 3 is so hectic. And if you lose people at all, it's just so hard, basically.
It's like
And she's at like 5% with 300,000 health.
Yeah, it's the opposite of Gruul, right, where it becomes easier as people die. This is very much
like
a
Kelp is where like phase 3 it starts getting crazy and you just want to burst them down before you get overrun.
Mm-hmm.
The MC was the primary thing that they nerfed back in the old days. But people definitely wanted it left in because people want to fight for nerf Ash.
Yeah, it's gonna take us several attempts, so I want to make sure everyone has that in their head already. We're not gonna one shot Vash. We might not one shot any of the bosses, even though they're quote unquote easy. So just be ready that first night we're in there to have your happy hat on, where you're accepting the failures.
But
Brace the
Bash
suck.
Bash is pretty random.
Yeah.
You could have a bad night on Bash no matter how good you are.
Yeah, I mean, we have bad nights on Magtheridon the same way, right? Something goes wrong, we have bad timing with things. it's
People are just
gonna
off
happen.
about the MC because there's like it's kind of RNG, like what
Mhm.
happens.
Yeah. I probably shouldn't have used the word easy. I apologize for that. Like, this is our 3rd week doing this, and we wiped for 2 weeks super hard. So
Yeah.
That's just
Also, I heard the main tank can be mind controlled. Is that true?
Yes. At least that's what it was 2 weeks ago. I don't know if it still is or if they patched that out, but yeah, my understanding
So you'll
was
need an off-tank generating threat.
from what I've heard, it's nearly impossible for a second tank to stay second threat. But yeah, I mean, that would be the goal. Just have someone pumping as much threat as they can and try to. Realistically, we could toss, have our Mr. X on the off tank the whole time, helping keep him up during phase 3. That'd probably be the right way to go, just in case. I mean, worst case scenario, let's say that the tank does get MC'd and the second tank is, 4th on the list. We just let Taxic and Wyatts die, and then we're back to normal.
Battle res, baby.
On Wyatt's, if he's got Lust.
I mean, he can reincarnate too.
Vanish is
So
for? Yeah.
What'd you say?
Sid, isn't that what Vanish is for?
yeah,
So TK time.
Yeah.
Do we want to watch
Hey, baby.
TBC? Alright, let's do it.
Yeah, might as well dive in. Did anyone have any other questions on SSC? I think the bosses are straightforward in the sense that once you figure them out, you know, good to go. And then every week the struggle is going to be getting through that trash in a timely manner.
Yeah, how long did it take?
I think their run there was 3 hours, but that was with looked like an hour worth of attempts on Bash.
Yep, just about that. Yeah.
From what I remember, it's about like MC. It's like you wrestle with the trash, and then you get to the boss. Boss goes down relatively quick, and then you wrestle with more trash for a while.
Plenty of time to sleep, emote Wyatt.
All right. And speaking of annoying trash, welcome to TK.
Yeah. Luckily, this is a little bit shorter, so it's should be quicker than SSC explanation. But yeah, the trash in here is definitely way more brutal than. Let's see.
It's like one-shot mechanics.
So for these packs, there's 2 mobs that do a spin. It's a dangerous spin, so we tank these 2 mobs off to the side. Our druid is trying to pick them up, but we actually we popped lust on this pull, and I think all the DPS brains just went to like zero IQ because
Return to monkey.
yeah.
We're gonna kill this pack really fast, okay, guys? We're gonna lust. Everyone dies. Well, we're gonna pull this pack really slow. So with the spinny dudes, you pulled them both onto the same tank?
Yeah, the druid picks both of them up. You can see the moon is kind of spinning right now.
Okay.
So the 2 spinny mobs get tanked off separately, away from everything else, and we just AOE the rest.
So the way I was thinking about doing this, and we'll see how it goes, is the 2 corners up near that path, so to the left and to the right, we would have Ness and Dorian or Tink pull the 2 spinny dudes into each corner. So they're only taking 1 spinny, and then we would have Pasties AoE tanking the ads. So it's just another way to kind of keep less damage, but if it's better to stack them, then I'm down.
Yeah, the only question I would have there is that too much damage? Like, do any of the other guys put out big hits?
I think you could disarm them as well, if I remember. Isn't that right? Can't you disarm them? You didn't have a warrior tank there.
I think I saw that you can disarm them too, yeah.
Yeah, you should be able to.
Not too sure on the specifics, but I also know that there's a mob in this pack that stuns, so if it stuns the tank, it just needs to be... It's a Hodge, so it just needs to be dispelled.
Can any of these mobs be sheep?
Yes, they can. We just kind of zug it, though.
I think like 3/4 of them can be sheeped. I just remember a lot of them. They can be sheeped. I think sapped is also an option.
Yeah, there's lots of CC options there. We'll toy around with it. This trash is going to take us a while to get comfortable with.
Alright, so I think we do like a okay pull. Yeah, so you see the druid there on the left. He's tanking the 2 spinny mobs, and then we have... Yeah, so this is clean compared to the last pull.
Less lust, less zug.
The legionnaires are the whirlwind guys, right?
Yes.
Does anybody drop aggro? Drop threat?
Not sure.
I think
like
one person mind controls, it says.
Yeah. I think when the tank gets stunned, doesn't that ad start going away unless you dispel the Hodge?
Yeah, I keep seeing X run back to the healer, so I'm wondering if that's one of
So
them.
how did those 2 people die right there? I missed it.
It looks like the Vindicator, which is
Yeah.
the Paladin mob that Hodges. It looks like he drops aggro.
Yeah.
So like he'll stun and then he'll run to give the healer or something.
Yep. Yeah, so you need to Hodge the tank on him, or dispel the Hodge on him really quickly, and then that tank will then taunt.
Yeah, okay.
Or you just have 2 tanks in that pack.
Yeah, we do have the luxury of 4 tanks as options, so yeah. someone playing goalie, as we call it.
It's like you could just have one healer spamming Dispel on that tank too until
Mhm.
that mob's dead.
Looks like a couple melee go down here.
Yeah, I see Quill even came down.
Wonder what that was from. Looks like AoE from the Star Scryer, which is a mage mob. Yeah, this trash is just really rough. So like, all our melee has to wear like full stamina gear for this trash, or it's just like GG. Basically.
Oh, I see. So Skull got healer aggro. That's why she came up.
This next pack, it gets pulled back. So we're actually 2 rooms back here. And are you familiar with this trash, Carter?
Yeah. So you've got a single archer and then all the bats. Oh gosh, I can't remember exactly. You stack all of the.
Yeah. So there's
the dudes, yeah.
There's the humanoid mob. He's like a hunter, and what he does is he can shoot through walls. So that's the reason why we're 2 rooms back here, is because if you're in like the immediate room right next to the big room, he'll just shoot healers through the walls. So we have one hunter go ahead and like MD pull and LOS back, and then these like dragonkin mob things, they do a silence. So that's why we're kind of far away from the tanks, and they also do a knockback. So that's why we're in the corners.
Well, that'll be fun for pasties.
And I think there's 2 of them. So you can see here our hunter's pulling it back, and our paladin is healing the hunter, so he gets aggro. And then I heal too early here, and I'm gonna get aggro on some mobs, which is not good. But yeah, this trash doesn't really do a lot. It's just if things are running all over the place and like silencing healers, that can be like obviously a wipe. So, alright, moving ahead. These are the Phoenix Hawks. They do a charge and they do AoE mana burn. So you're supposed to tank them 1 at a time, and we just have our prop paladin stay out, and we have the entire raid stack on the tank basically. So that way the raid doesn't get charged, and then our prop paladin, since he's standing out, he gets charged. We pull 3 here, and we're just getting mana burned to all hell, and we actually like don't have any mana to kill these, so they're just gonna kill us eventually. It takes like a few minutes. So I'll just skip ahead. But so yeah, we wipe, we run back, and then we pull them 1 at a time instead of trying to like AoE 3 of them. But you can see our paladin just get charged there, and
if everybody's stacked up, do they still charge?
They charge the furthest target. And
it's like a 2-man.
So our paladin, he's running up the ramp here. He's actually going to be out of range for charge, so he's going to charge the raid. You see?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's no range that you can be that doesn't get charged as far as close. He'll always pop out. But you want the person that's far away to be far enough away that it doesn't hit anyone on the back end of the group. So it can't be like Atumin where you're just at the furthest spot.
And he targets the person who is furthest out of the raid, or he targets the person second on threat?
Furthest out of the raid.
Alar time. So Alar is a phoenix, so you need to kill him twice. So because he respawns. Some cool phoenix lore for people.
Well, actually.
So what we do here is we have our paladin tank start because basically the way tanking works for this fight is he rotates, right? So he can either go left or right. So the reason why we have our paladin start is because you need to taunt him whenever he moves. So in paladin taunt, the way paladin taunt works is the mob has to be targeting someone in order for the paladin to taunt. So it's not, this fight is not ideal. So if it goes to the paladin platform, you have to wait a second for it to get picked up. You can't just go in because he'll just one-shot you if you're melee. But
yeah, we won't have a paladin platform, just FYI.
Okay. You're gonna have just the 3 tanks then, the 2 warriors and the...
We'll probably just run it with 2 tanks up top, and a paladin down below. If we need to use the 3rd or the 2nd warrior, we can, but generally speaking, you can be prepared to go either direction. So you see there the 1 tank is running off to the right to be ready for that one. If he had gone left, if you don't have a 3rd tank up top to already be in the left position, the current tank can actually pop a swiftness potion, or if it's the bear, they can pop sprint. You just want to get there as soon as possible. And if you're still not there, that's when you use Shadow Fiends or Hunter Pets to go ahead and get that started so that you don't take any stacks.
The video said that he goes clockwise.
That's in the nerf, in the pre-nerf, which was what they fixed it back to. He goes, it's counterclockwise or clockwise, so it's not random in the sense that he can go to any of the 6, but he goes left or right now.
Yep, exactly. So he's gonna do an ability here pretty soon called Flame Quill. He's basically flies up from the platform to the very center of the room, and then he starts spinning. The only thing you need to do for this is, if you're melee, you just drop down, because he's gonna flame you if you're up top. So,
yeah.
So all our melee just drop down. It's not a big deal. Nobody dies except for the arms warrior.
So if you see there, everyone got 1 stack of the debuff from not being in melee range in time. When he's doing the AoE damage on that top platform, the tank should be running. You can run 3/4 of the way up that ramp without taking the damage. So when he goes to that spot, you can get there on time.
So you can see here, phase 1 is about to end. He's about to die. All the melee jump down right now, because when he dies, he does a Blast Nova, and it'll one-shot melee.
So real quick before we hit phase 2, if you saw where their bear was tanking, he's essentially got his back to all of the healers, and you're on the very edge. You don't want to be too far in, or you might cause line of sight issues. So be careful not to move around once you're kind of in your spot, because you might fall off if you're not paying attention. And so one thing that's strange with PTR, and I think the live version, every time he switches platforms in pre-nerf, he was supposed to spawn small phoenixes, which is where you have your paladin tank down at the bottom and tanking those after each one. He's not spawning any, if you'll notice, on any of those switches. So I'm not sure what kind of nonsense that is, or if they're going to hotfix it. So we have to be prepared for either one. And the Phoenix mobs that spawn when he switches platforms, if they do turn that back on, when they die, they do kind of a AoE damage to the group. So generally the paladin just tanks them all and doesn't kill them and holds on to them until phase 1 ends.
Do they have an immolation while they're alive as well? Do they pulse? I can't remember.
I don't remember either.
feel like it's best to just stay away from things, you know?
Yeah.
I remember it because honestly, you never had the melee run in to help out with those. They'd always be on the lock.
Yeah.
Yeah. For the ads, we don't even kill them. We just nuke the boss, but...
Yeah.
I don't...
Oh, in phase 2, yeah.
Yeah, so he's doing dive bomb now, so the entire raid stacks because it's a meteor, so we need to absorb it. So it's divided by the number of people that absorb it. So what we do is our hunter snake trap, and it makes a big difference.
Does anyone need to wear fire resist gear for this fight? I seem to remember no. But...
No, I don't believe so. So there are the fire circles on the ground. Obviously, you don't want to stand in those. The tanks will kind of be moving him around to adjust if needed.
One thing about this phase 2 on the PTR is sometimes he charges a random player and he just like one-shots them. I don't know what that mechanic is. It seems like kind of like an attrition mechanic where like the longer you take to kill him, the more people just get one shot, but we haven't figured that out, like how to survive that. It just slowly kills like one person randomly.
Yeah. So one thing with these ads, each of those flame birds, when they die, they actually deal 3% of Alar's health. So if we were in, a sticky spot or we're trying to pump, I think you kill all of them when he's at X% health and it just kills him. So that's something to think about later on. But
wouldn't you just kill him as like? I mean, if you can kill him at any point, like kill him because.
No, you want to keep him alive though because of it's painful for the group with their damage.
Oh, gotcha.
So you just do it at the very end when you won't have to deal with the keeping people up afterwards.
And this is just a tank swap on melt armor. Right?
Yep, there's 2 tanks that'll be swapping between the 2. I forget how many stacks. I think it's just 1, right? As soon as you get melt armor, you swap.
1, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a 90% reduction or something like that.
Yeah, 80% for 60 seconds. So every minute you'll be swapping.
Yeah.
Is he tauntable? I don't even know.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that's how you do the swap. You're not trying to aggro swap.
Yeah, pistol dough.
Hell yeah. Alright, then we head to Voidreaver next. Voidreaver Trash. These are big Colossus mobs. They do like blasts. So there's two different types. The Devastator does a blast on the tank. It's like a 14k arcane blast. It's single target. So it's best to have a warrior tank these because they can spell reflect it. And then all the crystal core like Colossus mobs, they do like AoE knockback arcane explosion stuff. So if you're ranged, it's best to just stay farther away. So like here we're all close. We might get blasted here, but yeah, you see that. So that's the Devastator. Up next is these 2 mobs, the Sentinels. They do AoE knockback arcane explosion, similar to what we just saw. So as a rule of thumb, if you don't need to be next to a mob, like if you're a ranged class, just don't be next to it.
Rogues, bring your wallet.
Yes.
Or just hang out with the ranged and, craft bandages or
That's why
do
I
your
bring
thing.
bots, baby. Call me
Pots
repair
don't do a
bot
whole lot
Poppy.
of good if you just get one shot.
Thank you, Bess, for explaining that.
So this is a patrol here. It's one of the Crystal Core Devastators, and then there's 2 humanoids. You can sheep the humanoids, and the humanoids actually power up the Devastator, and it gives it like a huge damage buff. So it's kind of deadly. And then the engineers, grenade. You can see I just got grenaded there. It's like an AoE grenade. So we kill the patrol, and then we move into the room. And then for these packs, it's the Devastator, and then there's a humanoid, and then there's 2 demons. The demons are banishable, and the same thing. The humanoid casts a buff on the Devastator. And the demons do like a AoE saw blade thing. It's kind of like...
Is the buff able to be eaten by an arcane shot or anything like that?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
The demons those guys are demons. The video said they're banishable.
Yeah, it looks like they're banished there.
Banished right there, yeah.
So we get
got a second pack.
Yeah, it's a wipe.
Yeah, so you tank those Devastators against the wall.
Yeah. Is there any reason not to pull them into that doorway there where you guys are?
It's better to be loose, like to have a loose spread for the range.
Gotcha.
Because the grenades and the saw blades.
Gotcha.
The smiths can be polymorphed too, right?
Yes, they can.
Yeah, so theoretically you
banish.
get rid of everything except for the main big guy.
So same thing, just sheep and banish, and then easy.
Nice. Yeah.
It's so much easier with CC.
But speeds.
Yeah. Can't do damage when you're dead on the ground.
Lootreaver.
Alright, for Voidreaver, we just have the entire raid stack on the ass of the boss, and then we have the hunters stand out.
Yep.
And the hunters shouldn't take any damage because their job is to just dodge all the like orbs on the ground. But they take damage from time to time.
I haven't looked into it much, but can't you just have a single hunter doing it, or no?
I honestly don't know. I assume so.
Okay.
But
yeah, you'll see those explosions going out to the right there. Those orbs are essentially going at anyone ranged, so if you have all of your ranged out there, it's kind of random who it's going at, so everyone has to pay attention. So by stacking, you're mitigating that, but pounding, since everyone's in melee range, I think everyone deals with pounding, right?
yes, everyone takes the quake.
Yeah, so the healers will just have to be on their game for the AoE healing during that.
Yep, it's just like a constant heal intense fight.
Yeah, so if you look at that hunter in the back little corner, it's a really small, like, sidestep, right? He went maybe 20 yards, maybe. But that's it. You run, you get to the next spot, and you start DPSing again. You don't have to keep moving. So you should still be able to do decent DPS.
There's also a tank thing for this fight, too. Voidreaver will drop aggro. He'll do like a wing buffet on whoever has aggro. So the tanks need to constantly build for threat, basically.
Yeah, it's a knockaway. It is not tauntable. It is purely based on who's second in threat. So we're gonna need Mr. X going for the off tanks. It's very much like Gruul. You just need to have the 2 tanks on top. And since all of the range is stacked, you can't play with the, well, I'm at 100%, but I'm ranged, so I don't count. You've really got to watch your threat on this one.
Yeah, it's properly use your threat drops.
Yep.
You know, ride the line for a while, drop, and then build back up.
Yep. And we have our paladin start for this because it's almost impossible for a paladin to chase. So
Yeah.
he gets initial aggro, and then after his first drop, he's basically like useless. But actually, no, he's doing a decent job here of keeping second.
Yeah, I think with Mr. X, and that might be a fight where we want to make sure we have a Shadow Priest in his group, because as long as he's gaining mana, he can keep threat up.
I think our prop paladin runs like 1,000 spell power or something crazy.
Nice.
It's
But he has a sword.
Yeah, it just might make more sense to have the druid and one of the warriors there.
Alright. Oh, sorry, I skipped ahead. Did anyone have any more questions about Voidreaver?
No, it's just that phase, right? That's all he does.
Yep, that's it. Literally the whole thing.
Voidreaver.
Rogues,
Like your
obviously,
shoulders.
you can use your Cloak of Shadows on the pounding to avoid taking that AoE damage.
Hell yeah.
But that's about it. But yeah, Vanish, Feign Death, and Soul Shatter constantly, when it's on cooldown. Obviously, Vanish has a long one, so you want to wait till you're high, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Maybe I'll put Feign on my bars.
Do it.
Alright, Solarian Trash. Let's see. Looks like Astromancer Lord. Mage Mob. There's Legionnaires here. These are the guys that do the spin.
Mm-hmm.
More Sentinels.
Yeah, I think it's like a mix of the
Mhm.
previous trash.
I love the trash in here, if you couldn't tell. I studied the trash more than anything.
I mean, the trash is always in these instances the real fight.
God, this room is so annoying just because of the amount of trash you have to clear.
Yeah.
It's just demoralizing if you keep wiping on the trash and you don't get
Mhm.
on the box.
And before anyone asks, note you can't skip any of it, because if you do, you get aggro.
Yeah, they all pull on the boss pull.
Yeah, we can just pull the whole room and seed.
Yo, wild.
Just put pasties on it.
There is a mob in here that is like, should be single targeted. I think it mind controls. I forget the name of it. But we don't even mark it. We just go. Alright.
Winky, looks like you're gonna wear out your seed button in this play.
Oh, of course, I'm down.
His seed is strong.
Better order a few key replacements.
Some more extra switches.
Yeah, I was gonna say switches, not keys.
Told him a real keyboard is what needs to happen.
How are you guys handling the arcane here? It looks like you're just all bouncing it around there.
Yeah, we don't know how to do this boss, actually.
Okay. So yeah, so what we'll do is, you see how that one person is standing to the left. We're actually gonna have kind of 3 groups out there. So there's the one main group of ranged and healers in the middle. To the left is going to be 2 individuals that are just letting that arcane bounce back and forth to each other. So they need to have as high arcane resistance as they can. So if you're in the middle group and you get that, you just run left to where you're closer to them than the big group. It'll pass over, and then you run back to the bigger group, and you just do that on repeat.
You could see the druid do it there. Partway through when Crowder was talking, but the key is like you have to do it you have to respond quickly like every other mechanic. You can't wait, otherwise it starts bouncing around in the group you're in.
Yeah, and you don't want the two groups to be too far apart. Like where that one is standing to the left, that's too far to do the passing strategy, because you won't be able to react and get closer to him than the rest of the group in time. So it'll bounce back to the big group instead of to him. So we'll stand relatively close, but by having two people stacked directly on top of each other, they'll never accidentally pass it back to the group.
So two people need all of the soul cloth /
Yeah.
all their tailoring gear, or
I-
scribe tailoring.
I think you want to be aiming for cap. I think it's 300 and something, right?
415, I believe, in TBC.
Okay. 300 and something should be enough.
That was 365.
Yeah. Let's see.
Yeah, sorry, 365. I'm off by an expansion.
So technically, there's 3 phases here.
Yes.
So phase 2 is like every 50 seconds. He'll disappear and spawn adds from 3 portals. When does phase 2 start?
20%, I believe.
I thought that was phase 3.
Oh, sorry, I thought you said phase 3.
Yeah, I can't remember when phase 2 starts.
Well, phase 2 is just it's when when she disappears and spawns as.
So it's just
right?
it's gonna constantly happen. That's right.
So yeah.
Okay.
So she disappears. She spawns a bunch of ads, and then when she comes back, she has 2 priest ads. They just need to be the heals need to be interrupted.
Yep. Yeah, and you'll see everyone stacked there. Obviously, we'll have those 2 people not able to stack. But yeah, then you get those priests. Cleave them down on top. So you actually want to pull those into Solarian so that all the melee can cleave and the ranged can be doing, what they do. And that way everyone has a chance to interrupt the heals as well by having them stacked.
And then 20% is going to be coming up here in a sec.
Yeah, so the time that Solarian is gone is 15 seconds. So if you don't kill those ads before the 15 seconds is up, you're going to be in kind of a rough spot.
I guess one noteworthy thing here is she can fear in this phase, so you just drop Tremor when she turns into a Void Walker.
Yeah, get fear wards on the tanks, and Tremor totems everywhere because it's an AoE fear. Is it only up to a certain range? Does it not affect ranged?
It appears that way because all the melee just got feared. But
okay, yeah.
How does threat work when she turns from humanoid form to the shadow form?
Looks like it carries over, otherwise you wouldn't have 270k.
Yeah.
The 3rd phase is the easiest on this fight, correct?
Yeah, it's just tank and
It's
spank.
just tank and spank, and yeah.
Yep. Yeah, once you're in the final 20%, it's literally just, okay, we won. As long as you understand the bouncing mechanic and handle the phase with the ads, it's really another Loot Reaver. Loot Reaver 2.0.
Yep. I think our first week we got in front of this boss and our raid leader was like, does anyone know how to do this boss? And everyone was like, nope. And he's like, all right, let's pull. And we just killed it. We just I don't know.
You probably died in 20 or 30 seconds.
No, we just
So my notes have it saying here that there's no aggro table until phase 3.
I think there is, but she doesn't really melee during the other phases. She will every once in a while, but most of the time she's just casting at
It's random arcane missiles, right? So for the most part, yeah, you're running into Holder in the center area.
But I was watching it closely. He was going back and meleeing every once in a while on the druid.
Okay.
Shade.
Yeah, it's like shade.
Yeah.
Like you don't want an enhancement shaman to be top on threat.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's actually a really good fight for a druid tank.
Yep.
So for the bouncing around thing, someone gets it, they run out like they're the bomb, like the guy on the left there, and then it went to that hunter up there. Is that what was supposed to happen?
That's because it goes to the nearest person in general, right? So it's going to jump from that hunter all the way to the larger group. If you have two people stacked, it'll never jump back. It's just going to keep going between those two people. If they don't have arcane resistance gear, they're going to die. That's why it's two people maxed out arcane resistance, and it's not that bad. So by having it be those two people, if you're in the main group and you step left to be closer to them than the main group, it's definitely going to go to that stack of two, and then you just go right back to the right. It's not even going to jump back to you because they're on top of each other. It'll always prioritize each other.
What happens if you bubble or ice block? Will it just like bounce?
It bounces.
It instantly bounces out. It doesn't just go away.
Because here, I think he gets the debuff, but you're not wearing arcane resist gear, right?
No.
No. Yeah, anyone can get it, and it's not a big deal. The problem, and so what they're likely doing here is they're making sure that everyone only ever gets the debuff once, right? So they're kind of triggering it by having one person run a little bit closer, and if they've already gotten it, they're running to the right a little bit more.
Which
Because
version did we get? Sorry, do we get the stacking debuff?
yeah, it's a stacking. So if you look at him,
Okay.
he's got 5 stacks, I think.
I do
Yeah.
not know what's going on with this fight. You can tell. I'm pretty sure I had the debuff and I was just staying in. But
Yeah.
How many
That's funny.
stacks does he have right now? 5 or 3? I can't tell.
3.
3, yeah.
Is the quality okay? Can you see it?
Yeah, I could see
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, so it'll keep bouncing. So it's probably going to jump to him again here, and we're going to see him go up to 4. Yeah.
So this is with no arcane, it's doing 1500 a tick?
Yeah.
Alright, shall we continue?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, KT Trash. So there's like just one thing I really want to point out for KT Trash, and that is the Centurions. See if I can. So Centurion's the most dangerous mob in this pack. It's like it does a arcane flurry. It's like a whirlwind. It's like Herod. You know how Herod spins in place?
Oh yeah.
You mean how Wyatt does it? Wyatt, our AoE or enhancement shot.
Oh yeah, the Ravager. enhancement. It's just a super deadly mechanic for melee. So the best thing to do is just to sheep it. And while you're killing it, what you can do is spam sheep it, so that way it just interrupts the cast.
Nice.
But yeah, our melee die here a lot because we try to just zug it. You see, we wipe here because we're just trying to zug. But I'm just skipping ahead here.
So the endless sheeping is reminiscent of Blackwing Lair with the druids endlessly sleeping the that one dragonkin.
Yep, exactly. So I'll show this pull. So this pull, the Centurion does the Arcane Flurry, and then a bunch of melee die. I mean, even our tanks almost die. It's just super deadly. And the other mob in this pack is the Marshal there on the right. I think he does a Whirlwind also. So, this trash is just brutal for melee.
See, we planned around that by not having any. We're down to what? 2 melee DPS?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're looking for an enhance.
And arms.
And arms.
We'll get back to it. We'll get more people murdered, don't worry.
And when Taxing died, we can say it's a raid.
Oh boy.
I got a phone call, so I'll be right back.
Yeah, it's fine. I can kind of talk a little bit while you're out. So there are 4 ads here, in addition to Kael'thas. The first phase, all 4 of them become active one at a time. So the first one is Phthalo Dread. He's going to silence all players within 8 yards, and he's going to randomly target someone with gaze, which you just saw there pop up. Whoever has that gaze just needs to run away. You just endlessly run while everyone DPSs him. The
Big
gaze
Bad
will
Wolf
switch.
style?
What's that?
Big Bad Wolf style?
Mm-hmm. Exactly like Big Bad Wolf. Everyone else just DPSs through it.
For melee, you can see the new gaze target. When it gets close, like, step away. So otherwise he'll just turn and one-shot you.
Yeah. Once he gazes, it's time. So when... I think DBM has a timer, right?
Yeah, it was just up on the screen.
Yeah.
It said new gaze target. So,
yeah.
like...
Start walking away.
Positioning is important where they die, too. So it's not just circumstantial where he died. They wanted him to die there.
Yep. So this is Sanguinar. It's a tank and spank, and then he casts a bellowing roar. So it's a fear. Ranged should be at max range to avoid it. I assume, can Totem get rid of it? Maybe not. But yeah, again, he's positioned where they want him to die. Next up is Capernaum. So this is an only ranged, so melee, you're going to stay out. And you want to be at max range. She's going to be casting Arcane Explosion if anyone's within range. And she's also going to cast Conflagration on random players within 30 yards. Should be soaked by a tank. So a Warlock will stand within 30 yards. You can see there he's taking the conflags. Like Skyfall said, you can kind of cheese it by having a Hunter Pet run in, take some of those Arcane Explosions.
Alright, I'm back.
Is there a way to move her? It seems like you could move her somehow.
You could move her to the right.
Aggro and
Yeah.
We used to tank her at the back of the room, so someone gets aggro, no one else does anything, and then they run.
That's what I was familiar with.
All the way back to the back of the room to keep the conflag away from people while kiting and everything else in later phases.
All right, so Telonicus here is tank and spank. It'll randomly place a remote toy debuff on random players, which just randomly stuns you for 4 seconds. You don't want a tank to have that going into the next phase. So yeah, you just have to kind of deal with that. But yeah, tank and spank again. They killed him right on top of the other one, so the 2 melees are right on top of each other. And we're in phase 2. It starts as soon as he dies. So all 7 legendary weapons spawn. So the bow should be tanked by a ranged DPS facing it away from the raid because it's going to multi-shot. So you'll see there's people there to the right tanking that. The axe should be tanked off to the side to avoid whirlwind. It's also going to be tanked, or it's going to be killed only by ranged DPS. And then AoE down the rest in the middle. Make sure to interrupt the mace when it casts its heal. And then all 7 of them can be looted. So we're going to have people that are assigned to loot those. If you loot it, I believe you can trade it.
No, everyone can loot everything.
Yeah.
So everyone could loot all 7 weapons.
Oh, really? I thought it was one per...
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Because, like, rogues will main hand the sword and offhand the dagger.
Gotcha. Okay.
Literally, you just sit there and spam everything quickly, and then ideally you set up a macro ahead of time that is equip whatever, so you're not trying to equip it out of your bag.
Gotcha. Makes sense. So once they all die, you've got 2 minutes before the next phase starts, so you can all loot and get set up. What else here?
All of them have on-click abilities that are important.
Yeah.
Or on-use abilities, like the dagger, I think, breaks MC, and the shield puts up puts up a giant shield that's needed to survive the pyroblast.
Yeah, the staff, I think, has a way to get rid of the stun or something like that. That's just going off of memory here. So phase 3, Kael'thas essentially resurrects everyone where they died. So for the mage, you're gonna have a ranged person still eating those conflags. Yeah. So you're gonna kill Thaladrin first. So he's gonna go down, and if you remember, Thaladrin was the first we killed in phase 1 as well. So he's the one that does the gaze. So you knock him down. Second target is going to be, I think, Telonicus. Oh, melee switches to Telonicus, and then range switches to Capernaum. So that's the one that's doing I think the whirlwind is ranged, right? Could be wrong. The very last one is the mage. But yeah, the tank on Sanguinar is going to be using the shield, which makes them immune to fear, so they're not getting feared at all. Casters with the legendary staff can use its abilities to make all players immune to stun, silence, and disorient, which prevents pretty much everything. So that conflag, you could technically use the staff to get rid of that. And then healers with the legendary mace reduce damage taken by fire and shadow spells by 50% when they heal a target. So every time they heal a target, they're giving them that buff of reduced damage.
So do we need to use those weapons at very specific times, like one person, or could every caster chain
most of them,
those?
Yeah, here I've got all of them up real quick, and I can run through them whenever we get a chance. Most of them are literally you just equip it and it's a chance on hit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Weapon phase.
So like the dagger is chance on hit to increase magical damage taken by the target by 5%, and dispels the mind control. The healing mace is friendly targets gain an effect that reduces damage taken by fire and shadow by 50%. Obviously, the tanks need that. The two-handed axe increases movement speed, not necessary for anyone, but nice to have for that individual. Oh, and your melee attack speed by 20%. The one-handed sword increases movement speed and melee attack speed. The bow is physical damage taken by the target by 5%, stacks up to 5 times. Click to summon ammo for it. So you just summon yourself some ammo and then attack as normal. The staff is the only one that really has its use place a mental protection field on friendly units within 30 yards, granting immunity. But there's no cooldown on it. The only one that's really special is the shield, which has a 30-second cooldown. Use absorb 100,000 damage.
Yep.
And makes the caster immune to fear and snare effects for 4 seconds.
Yep. So we mentioned after the weapons are dead, you have 2 minutes before phase 3 starts when they all resurrect. Once they all resurrect, a timer starts. It's 3 minutes from when they all resurrect before phase 4 starts, which is when Kael'thas joins in. So you want to be in a pretty good position of having everyone down. by then. So it's kind of a DPS race while making sure that you're definitely following the mechanics. So you can see there they're targeting the guy who's doing gaze, right? He's the first target. Ranged and melee should be doing that. Looks like melee and for you guys are still in fighting the melee guys instead. So could do it that way. Like I said, after he goes down, they're going to switch to the other two melees. So ranged will go on to, what did I say?
Is the melee on the? Is the melee not chasing him? Because if he targets it,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, Thaladrian first, and then Telonicus is going to be melee. So Telonicus was the very last one that we kill in phase 1. He's the one that does the remote toy. So the stun one. So melee is going to be on him right away. Ranged is going to switch to man, my brain's all over the place.
How long does that debuff last? Isn't it like 60 seconds?
It is 60 seconds, yeah.
So in other words, you can't have the tank on the engineer, then on Kel'Thras.
Yeah, but one of the things, the staff gets rid of the stuns, right? So you're no longer affected by it.
Oh, I see. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, so then when the melee are on Telonicus, ranged are going to be on Capernaum or Sanguinar. Hold on. Oh, Capernaum. Gotcha. So the one we're actually supposed to kill the Warlock's tanking target third, and last is actually the tank and spank with Bellowing Roar. I guess he's the least of an issue.
I want to say you need some melee on Sanguinar to interrupt the heal. Doesn't he heal?
I don't see anything that says he does.
I don't think he does.
Oh, okay, never mind.
So yeah, after you kill all of those, or even while you're killing them, after 3 minutes of phase 3's phase 4 starts, and that's when Kelthus joins in. So you need to set up an interrupt rotation for Fireball. He's going to be casting Fireball. He's also going to cast a Flame Strike, so as that comes out, just don't stand in it.
You want me to skip ahead? Sorry.
Oh, no, I'm just kind of talking through it while this goes. It's fine. He's also going to randomly mind control people. So this is where rogues and probably even you, Wyatts, will have that legendary dagger on. And you're going to be doing like the lowest DPS abilities you have. So if you've got like for warriors like a rend, something that doesn't do much, because every time you hit them you have a chance to, I think, get rid of the mind control. Those players can be CC'd as well, so you can slow them, you can sheep, fear, all that stuff.
Ideally you have a rogue shiving,
Mm-hmm.
you can proc it with that.
Yeah. There's also, did the Phoenix already spawn? Yeah, so there's a Phoenix running around. Just tank it away from him and have ranged turn and kill it. It's going to be doing that awesome fire stuff. So I think, is the tank kiting it right now?
So the way we do it is we have an Ellie Shaman just for our shot kiting.
Oh, nice.
And, I don't even think we DPS it. I think it slowly dies on its own.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't need to target it.
But when it does, when its HP reaches 0, you need to switch to it because it spawns an egg and you need to kill the egg.
That's what it is. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
So yeah, you have 15 seconds to kill the egg, or else it respawns. Yeah. There's a disorient effect called Arcane Disruption, so that's like, we need to keep that staff buff up all the time. So we'll talk about keeping it up in rotations.
It may not have a GCD. I think you can abuse the hell out of that, obviously.
Yeah, we'll have to
like
look it up.
I'll have it up, for example, because it's also the feral staff.
Yeah. So yeah, we just need to make sure that's yeah, if Arcane Disruption gets off, like if we have like, you know, a 1 second window where that goes off, like he just cast it there, it's the entire raid, and it's just a wipe. Every 3 minutes he's going to cast a shock barrier followed by 3 pyroblasts. The shock barrier needs to be broken in order to be able to interrupt the pyroblasts, so you've got to break through that barrier to interrupt. The shield can eat the first one if you don't interrupt it, so that's where that shield on use would come in. So you would eat the first pyroblast if you can't get through the shield, but then the other ones need to be interrupted. And once he's at 50%, this is when phase 5 starts. If there's any other phoenixes out right now, you would kill those. You're going to continue interrupting fireball in this phase. Yeah, I think there's still phoenixes in this phase that come out, right? So you're going to still have, you know, your strategy with the elemental shaman. You'll still be doing that, and then making sure to kill eggs when they hatch. There's no longer mind control or pyroblast in this phase, so that is good. Gravity lapse is happening right now. You get to fly.
Do not fly back down to the ground.
Yes.
If you do, you get bounced in the air and take a bunch of damage.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You basically want to do exactly what Karn is doing here, which is go down close to the ground, but not all the way to the ground, because when it ends, you fall.
Yep.
And so if you're way up, you can die from falling damage. And but if you touch the ground, you take a bunch of damage.
So during the gravity lapse, he's casting something called Nether Beam. So everyone in the air needs to spread out. So you want to make a big circle around him, and, you know, have some people be slightly higher than others, so that it doesn't chain. After 30 seconds, that does end. So you don't necessarily need to be close to the ground the whole time. There will be a timer that shows us when it's time to be close to the ground. Avoid nether vapor. I think that's another ground effect. And then, yeah, gravity lapse will happen again.
Yeah, there they are, running to go kill an egg.
Yep. Yeah, so the eggs will keep happening, yeah. So that's essentially it. It just keeps repeating gravity lapse until you kill him, right? It's just rinse and repeat.
Yep.
Yeah, this phase is easier than phase 4 because
Yeah.
he doesn't mind control.
Yep.
Yeah, I did want to point out something earlier though. The positioning of where we kill these guys.
Mm-hmm.
So we were wiping on this boss for like 2 weeks because apparently it's a threat drop, or your threat doesn't drop if you're more than 60 yards away. So everyone needs to be within 60 yards of all these guys.
Gotcha.
So if you're like way on one side of the room and another mob dies on the other side of the room, when they all get rezzed, you're gonna have like either healing threat or like something on that mob. So that's why we kind of kill them all centralized here. And I mean, we don't move like the fire mage to the back of the room just because it's like a little bit better for uptime, because we're not like waiting for it to run all the way back and then finally our warlock gets threat. But
yeah, I think like you guys moved the one all the way back that, you know, there's no real threat table. He's just gonna gaze at someone, so
right.
Yeah, makes sense.
So just wanted to point that out.
Very cool.
What was the thing with the pet you mentioned at the start?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So that's actually not a good strategy. It was just something like we brought up when we were talking about, but the reason why that's not a good strategy is because sometimes she will, when she's spamming Arcane Explosion, she'll run into melee range and just melee the warlock, and it'll just get one shot.
Oh, gotcha.
So, yeah. It's just better to just tank it traditionally, if you will.
Cool. Do you just have one warlock that's set up to tank her, or did you guys have two?
Just one.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure he's just wearing like DPS gear. So.
Okay. Awesome.
when are you supposed to use the staff again? I forgot.
Once you get it, you basically just hit it all the time.
Yeah, you keep the buff on everyone all the time.
The goal is to keep the buff. It puts up a 30-second buff on everyone in 30 yards. You want to make sure that like everyone has it.
Is that raid wide or party wide?
30 yards.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not party specific.
Cool. And you said there's no cooldown on it?
No, there's none listed, and I don't remember
Okay,
there being.
so we don't have to worry about people staggering them.
No, it's going to be like the every caster, so it's going to be the casters and me who have it.
Yep. One thing to point out with that Phoenix that's going around, if you see it's doing kind of a consecrate as it goes. It's not putting it on the ground, but it's doing like I don't even know, a Hellfire maybe, or whatever that's called for Warlocks. So just make sure
Isn't it like an immolation aura?
Yeah, something like that. It's just dealing damage as it goes in a circle.
Like the Skellies on Nightbane?
Yep, exactly. So you just want to make sure you're not near that when the shaman is running around.
I was going to say, I guess we have a shaman kite that?
Yep. And that one spawned kind of on the range, so all of the ranged moved left. The LA shaman went right and took it off. That's one of the flame strikes there on the right side that you saw just get cast, so just don't stand in those. But yeah, it's a lot of mechanics that you're dealing with, and that's really the tricky part. Otherwise, it's a lot of repetition.
And it's a long fight.
Mm-hmm.
And you said you can interrupt the pyroblasts?
Yes, but only after you break the shock barrier.
Yep. So the general DPS assumption is that you're not going to get through it for the first one. So you eat the first one with the shield, and then you interrupt the second and third.
Yeah, and I think they're using a druid as the main tank here, so they're not going to have that option.
Yeah, if you've got the DPS to do it, I mean, you can do that.
Yeah.
In general, the one major change is DPS is just massively higher this time, so it seems reasonable.
Yeah, this is PTR 2, and like all the hunters have DST because you can buy it off the vendor.
So this is full BIS.
Yeah, it's like stupid BIS gear. Like it's not real damage.
Yep. Yeah, so even in stupid BIS gear, right? He mentioned it took 3 weeks to get this. So, yeah, we're gonna be on the struggle bus for a little bit, but it'll be fun.
It's better than
hell yeah.
The only thing about the struggle bus with this fight is just the sheer amount of time that you're spending. Like if you wipe in the last phase, it's the most savage thing you could ever experience.
Yeah, because once you get the first like 2 phases down, they're not hard. They're just time consuming.
I remember losing to the mind control a lot because we didn't have people getting that and proccing it. So yeah, it was less than ideal. So yeah.
Again, like UI's general player awareness is so much better. Like,
yeah,
I remember wiping on Vaj because we lost tainted cores because they went to people who didn't realize they had them, or they got thrown to pets.
Yeah.
Yes, you can throw them to a pet. Obviously, your pet can't throw it. So.
I don't know if this death was my fault or what, but like I got disoriented in the flame strike.
So. Yeah, no, that's just...
Yes, it's your fault because you should have had the aura up.
Oh, from the staff? Yeah.
Yep. If you had the aura up, you couldn't have been disoriented. And as a caster, you could... Or I guess you're a healer, so you've got the mace. So
the mace, yeah. Someone else
one of the
up.
other casters screwed up.
So not his fault.
Yeah, no, not his fault at all.
unless he was just out of range of all of them. 'Cause it's 30 but
yeah. It's 30 yards. Everyone should be spread out in a way that it can hit everyone. But if all of the people with the staff went to the same side during that gravity, that would be bad. So just kind of be aware of where you are. We'll probably have some really cool graphic that everyone loves that shows where people should go.
I see red lines in my nightmares.
Step shaman, macro, or weak auras.
Yeah.
Are you within range of your warlock or mage?
Yep.
Or shadow priest?
So yeah, I was at 14.
Elemental shaman.
Yep, 14 minutes to get the kill in full Abyss. I love it. So yeah, the really big hectic phase from memory was the start of phase 4. If you don't have the 4 guys down, it's gonna take a while because you're trying to balance interrupting his fireballs and avoiding the Phoenix and everything else while still trying to DPS down the ads. So yeah, it very much is a DPS race through phase 3.
One of those or raid tiers where you're using previous gear to from earlier in the raids to actually progress to.
Yeah.
It's not like
a
14-minute fight because you're in T4 Abyss is a long fight.
Yeah.
It'll get a little quicker as we get better gear and stuff.
Yeah, and on that subject, we are planning to prioritize loot over, progression kills, right? So if we go into TK on our first raid night, let's, not the first week, but the second week, let's say we kill every boss except for Kelthus, we put in an attempt or 2 on him, then we'll move to SSC to go get more loot from the other ones. Because it's more important to get everyone upgrades so that we can make KT and Vash easier.
Yeah, the other fun thing is you have to remember to re-equip weapons.
Yeah.
Definitely where people did not have weapons equipped at the start of the fight because they despawn when you wipe.
So I will say everyone should get item rack. Because what you can do is during that 2-minute time after the weapons are dead when you're equipping them, you can create a weapon set that has those in it. So what happens is when you're not in that phase and don't have those in your inventory, that they just won't equip, right? But every time you come back in going forward, as soon as you loot, you click that, it switches your weapons to the right weapons. And then when you're ready for phase 5, you just switch back to your main weapon set.
Item rack won't do it during combat, though.
It won't?
It'll swap weapons. It just can't swap stuff it can't swap.
I wouldn't swap weapons. I don't know. I keep seeing it not swap my weapons when I try to use it.
Like doing weapons as far as I remember.
Okay.
Just put the weapons on a bar. It's one click no matter
what. Yeah. I'm sure there's also a macro you could do.
Yeah, you can just do equip.
Yeah, and if you go into a fight without a weapon equipped, I'm just gonna call you a shit player. I mean, that's like no heart, just facts.
No, yeah, and we'll call out when to switch back to your normal weapons, right? Because there's no point in using those daggers for MC in phase 5, so you definitely want to switch back.
In before I do it all the time.
We expect this from you, Winky.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? As long as the precedent is that I am a shit player already.
It's not a surprise.
Oh, we're gonna see it happen.
Look at those nether vortexes. Abyss.
There's so much drama with the nether vortex. Because they're not tradable. So
yeah.
Random people needing on them, and then the Fury Warrior's like, come on guys, pass, I need my weapon.
Alright boys, I gotta be up for work in like 5 or 6 hours, so I'm gonna put this out.
Yeah, we're done. I did record this so people that weren't here can see it, and anyone else can go back and watch it with our discussion. So I'll share that link. And
I called in sick tomorrow for this.
Nice, dude. What a champion.
Yeah, that's the reason you called him.
So yeah, I'll start throwing together kind of based on what we saw here and then what we talked about, kind of what our other strategies could be. And I'll make some nice stuff. Chill linked me some really awesome graphics that are already created by other guilds, so I can steal those. So yeah.
Are we going in 2 nights in week 1, or we don't know yet?
We
don't
have
know one
yet.
person that needs to respond still, and then we'll discuss.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Is it Skyfall?
Yeah, it
Sorry,
is.
what?
Skyfall, god damn it.
Oh.
Just fill out the little form you got pinged earlier.